Oh, the weather outside is frightful.
But inside is so delightful.
It's Christmas in July.
Let's review.
Let's review.
Let's review.
You.
And me. Season 3. Yeah. Do we keep this going? All right.
Bum.
That's right, folks. We are back for Christmas in July 2016. We are here to recap The Snowman's Revenge from Courage the Cowardly Dog, featuring a very Sean Connery-like Snowman in his second appearance on the show. And his second appearance is very much more kind of Christmas-themed. Dragon, before we kind of get into the Christmas merits of this episode, why we picked this one in particular, even though at first glance it might not be the particular, like, oh, this definitely feels 100% like, like a Yuletide classic. But I think there's a lot of stuff to get into. But before we do that, well, first of all, before you do that, you know what you need to check out.
Like we need some hot chocolate,
Like, literally, you just need to pause your podcast right now, folks, and go on to the Movie Machine Podcast. That's right, folks. It's what happens when you take four funny people and improv a movie based on a random story generator really, really, really fast. You know what episode they're up to, BlueDragonFive? They got to a milestone. They're up to number 2020. Oh, my God. Congratulations, folks. Congratulations. So, episode 20 is called A Midsummer Night's Comet. It's a 13th century adventure road trip starring Toby Jones, Carl Urban, Zhang Ziyi, and a bear. And a bear. Maybe the Revenant bear? Who knows? Featuring Kyle Decker as the moderator, Jacob Gulliver as the director, Ben Lifson as the producer, and special guest star Eric Thompson as the writer on the Movie Machine Podcast. HotChocolateMedia.net. All right, Dragon. The other thing we should do before we kind of address kind of why we picked this as a holiday special, even though it's a bit unconventional, is memories of Courage the Cowardly Dog, just in general. What do you got?
Oh, we've got a lot of fondness for Courage the Cowardly Dog. Of course, it was a big, big, strong kind of show in the lineup of Cartoon Network. Very nostalgic. It was in the Cartoons lineup, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, it was.
And I love that it was one of those shows that kind of pretty much in the same vein what Nickelodeon did. They kind of, I believe, Cartoon Networks was What a Cartoon, where pretty much they staked their claim for like kind of their pilots of their shows. Of like, hey, come on, if this goes over well, maybe we can explore this as a series, which happened in Courage the Cowardly Dog, and it turned into a really great show that really stands the test of time because kind of in the same vein of something like Rocko's Modern Life, it was able, and again, I love that I was, to get ready for this, I listened to John R. Dilworth, the guy who created the show. Really eccentric guy, really creative, but yet eccentric. And we love our eccentrics. I just look at John Cristoforetti, for example. But
it doesn't get much more eccentric than that.
Which we will. But point is, with John R. Dilworth, the guy, I love that he was reflecting upon the Courage the Cowardly Dog episodes, and certain ones, like some of the most meaningful ones, such as Mass. Mass was a big, edgy episode, and he was amazed that any of that got through. I mean, the Courage the Cowardly Dog got episodes that are really kind of meaningful, or they're really edgy, but they really kind of deliver messages. A lot of laughs, but also a lot of great kind of serious, heavy stuff. And I think it's kind of the reason Courage is always going to stand test. I mean, look at the last episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog. I mean, again, I think there's going to be some questions of of how chronological things are, like if they just kind of happen to be the last episode, but it ended on a really great note with 2 episodes. Basically, they break them up into 2 11-minute segments, like most your average cartoon. And the last episode, I don't know if you remember this, it was the perfect episode. You or not.
Definitely.
But again, Courage had like some great kind of psychological stuff going on, like kind of, the whole looking at yourself, a lot of self-doubt, and kind of being reassured, like, no, hey, look, no one's perfect, man.
The way I always compared it even as a kid was basically a children's version of the Twilight Zone, like a Twilight Zone that's accessible for kids.
Yeah, I think that's an apt description. I don't know if it's exact, but I think it's really, I think it's accurate. I think that work. And of course, the other one, the one that's like probably the most emotional Courage Cowardly Dog episode, short of the Star Maker, is Courage's parents. So I forget, you can't quite remember like the actual title. It's like Courage's past or something. Point is,
Right,
last
right.
episode along, it's packaged along with the You're Not Perfect episode. But again, that one just it's such an effective thing, seeing the tragedy of Courage's past, and of course it leads to the intro. Kind of fills in a little blank of the intro of like what led Courage to be left in that alley. And oh my God, it's a tragic and very meaningful episode. Courage can get away with that. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling on. So point is,
That's a really good way to tie the series together, though. Like, if you think about it, a really good way towards the end to just tie up the major plot points.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, like I said, I really don't have much to say beyond just, like, Twilight Zone for kids. My most vivid memories of Courage the Cowardly Dog, I think I have two in particular. One scary one and one emotional one. The emotional one was the Bigfoot episode.
Oh.
For some reason, I just remember getting so emotional about the Bigfoot thing, and I don't know. They just pulled off that storyline really well. I don't know what it was about it. I can't even remember at the time, but...
Can I mention something about the Bigfoot episode? I love it's a very silly bit. I love it. I just love when they're both dancing with the fruit hats.
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's a lot of kind of just silly, but also sort of heartfelt moments in that episode. Yeah. But of course, Dragon, we'd be remiss to not mention Freaky Fred. I mean, come on now,
of course.
Freaky Fred.
I think that is like as a barber.
I mean, I hold that up on a pedestal of Courage episodes. I really do. Okay, so now on to this special in particular, The Snowman's Revenge. This is a sequel to, I believe it was just called The Snowman. Correct?
I want to say yes, but I can't quite.
All right. Well, regardless, it's a sequel episode. This is the second appearance of this Snowman character, who is obviously kind of an homage to the James Bond era Sean Connery, and it's done very lovingly, very convincingly. Who is the voice actor for this dragon?
Well, he's kind of I didn't quite that. He's a Canadian voice actor with a lot of theater experience. So I couldn't quite. That was like I don't quite know it off the top of my head. You might want to look it up just to kind of share it with the folks. But point. Let me kind of talk about just kind of the Snowman character. Let me mention why. If I can mention why we basically were weighing kind of our Christmas options, folks, when we're picking this episode. Courage had a very select options because Courage hasn't done a technical Christmas episode. They've done episodes that have vaguely related to Christmas-like things, and this kind of, with Snowman being your main protagonist. This is one of my favorite episodes of Courage the Cowardly Dog, the one we're talking about tonight, Snowman's Revenge, because this one always had a special place because I love the Snowman as a character. I mean, probably part of it is my grandmother loves Snowman characters, and I just love this idea of a Sean Connery Snowman. But the reason this really fits with kind of our Christmas in July theme is that, I mean, for starters, it's the idea of kind of winter in the summery weather.
Yes, really yes. Holiday in August, definitely. We
do go to the North Pole, and the main thing I think the reason we're talking about with the whole frost is kind of a Sean Connery Snowman is that it's the idea of kind of it's kind of a perverse take on the Frosty the Snowman legend, which again was one of my favorite Christmas specials.
We'll get into that in about 6 months, folks. Trust me.
And again, I think it's just instinctually, it's such a kind of a perverse, fun idea of like, what if you had a snowman? Your snowman usually kind of roll off the snowman, but never have you had. Like, I mean, sometimes you'll have like evil armies of mindless snow zombies, but here you actually have like kind of this great menacing, really entertaining snowman. I mean, I always just loved how charming and interesting, and basically it's kind of like not exactly Mr. Freeze, but I mean this snowman though he was kind of. He had a lot of great layers. I mean, no pun intended. But no, seriously, he did have these really great layers.
You're right. He almost kind of had a Shakespearean quality to him in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I love, in this episode in particular, again, I put this one over the original because, again, one, it fits a little more to Christmas in July with kind of the hot weather, and I just love, I love that he was an inventive snowman. He invented things, he's always kind of a scientist of a snowman, but, again, I love, this episode had a lot of the emotional kind of pathos and sadness of the snowman. It's really well communicated. You're right, Tiki, a little bit of a Shakespearean element that he reflected nostalgia. He's one of those characters who you don't need him to interact with other characters, and just kind of lament to himself and really convey the scene's points. Out of all the Courage villains, honestly, the Snowman, because he appeared very sparsely. Only had 2 appearances in the entire series because you can't really bring back the Snowman, and in particular, he has a really good ending in this episode, so he doesn't need to be brought back. as an antagonist. Points he was always one of my favorite kind of one-off courage character villains, early kind of villain of the episodes.
And we got the voice actor is Paul Schofler.
Yes, that was the other reason I probably looking up to, because the name kind of skipped me.
Okay, so I guess without further ado, Dragon, you want to get right into this, son?
Yeah, sure. So we start, like many Christmas in July episodes, we start in the North Pole, but there's something off. It's melting.
It's melting! Melting!
And right off the bat, we get some really striking visual imagery, Tiki. Tell us what we see.
We see literally, like, the ice of the North Pole is melting, and there is blood in the water, Dragon. Not metaphorically, literally. Blood in the water.
Yeah, it's like a melted candy cane almost. You know, it's like the sea is red, and it does a really great job. It kind of intensifies kind of the danger of melting, because you think, like, I think to a kid, might kind of illustrate to the kid audience perhaps of, like, okay, you think, okay, well, snow and water, you know, they're both kind of wet and cold, it might be okay again, but it's like, so, okay, red is definitely, it's dangerous, you know, it's really hot out, so either way, our snowman guy might be doomed if he falls into this water, but also, again, just gets a great counterbalance of red with kind of this safety of white kind of floating around it. Oh, yeah. So then we have our Sean Connery Snowman. We have Sean Connery Snowman. He plans to let's see. He basically plans to relocate thanks to his new invention. I love this invention. Again, another reason I really picked this. I picked this one because I love.
You love your gadgets, and especially bonus points if those gadgets are Christmas themed. Am I right?
Yep. And again, I love the ending image of this episode with this gadget, because I always thought it was like such a triumphant image.
Oh yeah.
The Snowman. I just love all we have our great, because now I think about it, yeah, again, he always has the kind of these Bondian, James Bondian plots. Like, they have a James Bond-esque character who is basically a Bond villain, which is hilarious in itself.
Also, is the Snowman the Scrooge? Can we chalk that in?
Yeah, he's the Scrooge. Yeah, he learns his lesson. He
definitely goes through the biggest arc for sure.
And it's so perfect for him being a Scrooge, because again, it's hinted at definitely in this episode. Also, it's previously hinted at in the previous episode, which gives us names for our three snowman characters that are in this. Which I'll mention. I got that, but you saw it too, so you probably might remember. Regardless, I love that it definitely kind of is this perfect kind of sandwich of an arc here, because, you know, we see in the past, you know, he lived pleasantly amongst the snowmen. He goes through his arc in here, and then by the end, you know, he kind of back to that. So he definitely does it, kind of like he learns his lesson. He goes through, he does learn something. It gets him into, like, not say the holiday spirit, but gets him into the winter spirit, let's say.
Oh yeah.
So he's again, we kind of parody the Goldfinger lyrics as the cold finger. Now I'm the one with the Midas. You're the one with the Midas touch.
Oh God.
So he ponders where, and again, just you're right, there's a great Shakespearean quality here. Just where, can't go to the North Pole. Too many, and this is, again, right here, this line right here is just where I'm really kind of gravitating towards kind of
too many memories of my melted North Pole friends. No, I can't go there.
Again, just that's so interesting to me. This always gravitated, again, out of all the episodes, it's always kind of stuff.
No, I hear you.
It's so ridiculous that we'd be rooting, that we'd be investing mostly into this sentient snowman.
Sean Connery Snowman.
Yeah, I mean, again, first of all, again, I love the design of the snowman. It has like kind of these evil kind of, like, again, you see the inside of the snow in the eyes and everything. Is again, it's like a little hint of blue on the inside. But regardless, I just love that with the line, he just says, you know, too many memories of friends who have melted. Again, the idea of this snowman who's the last snowman, but for some reason is just kind of doomed to again, you feel so bad. Again, it is kind of a Mr. Freeze hang-up. It's so tragic that a snowman who hasn't melted yet, but all his friends have melted before him, which we're going to see in great detail a little later on. But again, just the idea of being set up in dialogue here, like, well, I can't go to the North Pole. And again, the reason he doesn't go just more to the North Pole, like, place it should, in theory, be colder, it says, well, no, I can't go back to it. My friends aren't there anymore. It's too many painful memories. It's a great idea. So he uses a snow globe, which I thought was funny. a snow globe, and he spins it randomly. He says, yes, a location for my new West Pole. Nowhere.
Oh, yeah.
It's just going, where? Nowhere. Okay, what do we see next?
Okay, so then we have Muriel, Courage, and Eustace driving back from what I assume is some kind of, like, you know, country shindig or something like that. And Eustace,
yeah, it's a square dancing event of some kind.
Right. Stupid do-si-do! Eustace is very thrown off, Dragon, because like you said, this is a big trope of ours. Snowing in August. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Look, I mentioned something with the courage writing. With the courage form, it's really kind of exemplified here because we don't talk about courage enough.
I agree, we don't.
I love that something that's constant in the courage episode that really works well in this episode is that there is always kind of this great foreshadowing setup of like something. It's really kind of an analysis that you really don't think is like going to come back. Okay, well, Muriel's sewing Eustace's pants, and that's going to be a very big thing later in the episode. I mean, I can't remember really. I guess way back when, I didn't really figure. Oh, man, it's going to come back. It's like, okay, well, she's sewing Eustace's pants because it's useless.
Sure.
Yeah, but yeah, I just love that. It's great little seeds that are being planted for later on that do really kind of come back in a way you didn't expect. It's kind of one of those great things. Anyway, so then it's this. It's snowing. I love how pleasant Muriel is. It's like, oh, it's snowing. Always the optimist that
Muriel is definitely kind of in the Norma Bates club of just like incredibly pleasant women.
Yeah, it's like really it's like kind of the Norma Bates across the globe, kind of like the Ghost Heads, which I'm referencing. A documentary on Netflix, which also, D, what else should we be plugging? Come on.
Super Academy?
No. What have we been plugging in every episode, Tiki?
Rock Soup? Rock Soup? Is that what you want me to plug? Is Rock Soup, Dragon?
I was thinking of something a little more associated with hot chocolate and media.
Well, you ruined it now. We already plugged hotchocolatemedia.net.
Well, Tiki, we can't plug it enough.
Hotchocolatemedia.net, folks. The Movie Machine Podcast. All right.
Eat your rock soup and then think of that one, folks. Just, enjoy some free.
I'm sorry. You put me on the spot, and I didn't know if there was something I was forgetting to promote. I'm sorry, folks. Okay, moving on.
Anyway, but you're right. It's kind of like with the Ghost Heads, and there's like basically a normal base across the globe of like various representing. I guess Muriel's kind of she's kind of the Norma Bates of Scotland.
Right. Oh god.
Okay. Let's see. So they say they hit the snow in August. Crash into the porch. Plan to get warm inside. They were snow blasted. Oh, the thermostat must be low. Oh, that Muriel.
So the Snowman's using the cold finger to kind of blast snow in the house, and then he introduces himself. Man, the name's Man. Snowman.
And I love that, guys. There's something kind of it kind of reminds me a little bit of Age of Ultron now I think about it, but it's this great moment where it's kind of a pathetic image of kind of the snowman kind of almost listlessly kind of freezing the house while he's just sitting in Eustace's chair. Something kind of really kind of prolific. It's kind of like Ultron with the cloak sitting on the throne in the church.
Yeah, I hear you.
That's what I'm going to point. I think something so probably just kind of like him waiting around for people to interact with. Again, without people, the snowman just doesn't have an existence.
Okay.
So let's see. So he explains the whole I'm making a new West Pole, which he explains why there's just like a giant pole in the living room. Right off the bat, again, the snowman, he's giving instructions. So again, I love he has like this instinctual superiority. Let me ask you this, Steve. Do you think he remembers them from the previous encounter, or do you think
I was kind of wondering that. It's like I watched the previous encounter, and he doesn't like directly reference it or anything. He's not like, oh, it's you three from the other episode. So I don't know. That's a good question, Dragon. That's a good question.
Yeah.
I think some of the continuity of courage can be a little loopy at times.
Yeah, but sometimes it tracks because they had like a whole legion of villains that want to get revenge on Courage, and then there's like the Duck brothers come back, to save their one brother. I know and also there's the chicken from the pilot that wants revenge.
Fair enough.
Okay, anyway, so basically it might be the snow just kind of writing them off like, oh yes, I vaguely remember them. Anyway, I'm going to give instructions. So he instructs Courage. He instructs Courage, dog. Keep us nourished with a steady supply of snow cones.
And just one pump of caramel, boy. Just one leisurely pump.
If only we had the abominable snowman here, because we know he loves snow cones.
I don't know exactly where he is. He's here. He's here. Ha ha! Yes, we know he loves snow cones. Oh yes. Do you guys want a yellow snow cone?
It's lemon.
Rats and claws! All right.
Rats and claws! Rats and claws! Anyway.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, so also he instructs Muriel to keep him entertaining. Her with her centaur, she's always like, "Well, oh goody," she's so eager.
The fact that Muriel's instrument of choice is a sitar. It's like fucking George Harrison. It's great.
Yes, and the more you say it, yes, she is very Norma Bates-esque. I'm just now imagining Vera Farmiga holding. I'm just picturing Vera Farmiga holding an animated Courage. I think, or a plushy Courage would be fantastic.
Or just Romero walking in on Norma Bates playing a sitar. And just being like, okay.
Or Manuel walking in, but no, we're referencing.
No. Okay, anyways.
Anyway, so let's see. So again, Muriel's been instructed to entertain the Snowman. Eustace, old man, keep watch on the crow's nest. Let me know when the sun's brought out. Then, Eustace initially refuses until he's frozen, and then eventually after he's kind of thawed, oh, that's a mean old bossy snowman as he's waiting on the top of this thing, this wintry weather.
So we have a Beatles reference here with Muriel. She's playing the sitar, and she's like, I've got icicles on me blisters. That's a reference to the White Album, Helter Skelter, when Paul McCartney screams out at the end of that song,
I've got blisters
on me fingers! Yes.
So let's see. So Courage is trying to. I love this. The Courage is trying to warm up with the TV fire, with the TV with the fireplace channel on. Yeah, until he's instructed, dog, another round of snow cones.
Another round of snow cones, dog. Make it snappy.
Shaken,
not stirred.
Oh, I don't remember if he said that part.
I don't think he did, but it would be very appropriate if he did. They should have worked that in somehow.
I do love the way he says his next line.
Got every other Bond reference in there, did they? I mean, come on now. All right.
If we had Shaken Not Stirred, it might have been in the first one. I can't remember. Again, we might be confusing.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. All right, fair enough.
Regardless, I love the Courage just breaks it like an icicle. It's on him, and he puts it in the cone. He gives it to him as he's and the Snowman's licking. He says, tutti frutti.
Oh God.
Tutti frutti. Oh God. Tutti frutti. So, let's see. So Eustace informs Snowman the sun's blocked out. The Snowman says, "Okay, you can come down now." Eustace falls down. This is to me again. I love pleasantries. I love all this. I love how pleasant the Snowman is to me. Again, all the sympathy for the Snowman is right here because again he's just really lonely. Is that he addresses them all and Courage. I just love Courage in the freezer.
You have served me well. I suppose you'll want to leave, but hear me out first. You've become like family.
I'm sorry, just real quick. I just want to mention with the but. Hear me out first. He's like saying, he allows them to leave essentially. And just like they're all like thinking in their minds like we want to leave. Just, but hear me out first.
Okay. But hear me out first. I welcome you as a fellow snowman, snow people, creatures, slush puppies, different frozen individuals, Friesel Meagle. I'll just call you my fellow snowmen. Well, what do you say?
He's like all these. I literally have the whole list of the nicknames here is snowman, snow people, slush puppies, differently temperatured individuals, friendsicles, chosen frozen people. Snow Beagles, which I think is my favorite personally. Snow Beagles. So before they can leave, Eustace and Muriel, they have frozen in place. And then shortly following that, Courage tries freeing them. We have another Christmas in July trope where Courage licks them free and basically turns into the Christmas Story where you're then stuck to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we always have to have a kind of a creepy part of the Courage Dog episode. And whenever they do this, and again, it's in the last episode too, where we had the really emotional Courage's parents episode. It always weirds me out. It terrifies me whenever Courage loses a part of his tongue. It always freaks me out.
Oh God. I also remember the first Snowman episode, they had the frozen soup where Courage's tongue, got out like the chunky soup that was just completely frozen. Anyways.
Let's see. So Snowman takes the stiffness of his friends here as a yes, and he's so happy, and then it leads to a jolly musical number. You basically you phrase up my life, then it basically goes on like that. It's real catchy, and again, it's a little bizarre.
Every day's a thrill. All I want to do is chill.
My favorite bit is when he turned. Apparently, he has a disco ball in the pole. So.
Yes.
And then he has like he does like little snow legs, can, which is hysterical. So it's a little.
Baby, dig it, groove with me.
It just feels so bizarrely Tarantino, you know? It's just like
it does kind of feel Tarantino-esque in a way. Yeah, I hear you.
and oh, that twist, do that twist.
Yes. Oh, the twist. Oh.
Anyway, so let's see. So again, the snowman, he's living it up with his friendsicles here, and again, we see kind of some really sad, kind of poignant images of the snowman. He's living it up. He's playing. It's kind of like Castaway almost. Just he's playing. He's watching TV with him, laughing at him, and then he's playing. He's like whacking Eustace on the head. He gives him all hula hoops. It's hilarious.
It's like I feel like at the same time, it's like he doesn't realize how cruel it is. Where it's like, oh, here I'm going to give you guys all hula hoops, and you can participate in my Christmas fun.
Yeah, and again, I'm completely, oddly enough, I'm just completely on the snowman's side. Where I'm just
I know. That's the fun part of the special.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time as it's funny, it's also kind of scary of like all these poor people, they can't leave. But the third level is just this sad level of, oh man, this is the closest thing he has to having his friends back is frozen people that are just kind of with him while he's
Right.
It kind of shows the strength of the snowman character. Again, as I mentioned before, just he can act so much, he kind of get so much of the plot and the story across without anyone interacting with him.
Yeah, really good stuff.
I mean, he's a walking snow one-man show. Okay, let's see. So then we
no business like snow business.
No business like snow business, Claw. So then we have kind of a heart of ice moment, no pun intended.
Oh dear.
Where the snowman kind of does this really awesome thing where he kind of laments, kind of like the opening of Heart of Ice here, where he laments on how sad he is because of the snowman, and you know, he longs for his old snow friends before
things got hot.
Before the days got hot.
Yes.
Then he does the creepy where he snaps Courage's tongue off, which always freaks me out. To tell him, I love this. I love the subtleties here, Diggy. That he snaps the Courage's tongue off. And a lot of time, Courage is always just randomly kind of referred to as a kid because he was a dog or something. I love it's the snowman. I love that of all of them, he's explained to Courage, despite the fact he snaps off the tongue. I love he puts him in the chair, just like telling the little one a story here. It's like so kind of chummy, so
right, exactly.
Anyway, so basically, basically we see in the story again. This is probably one of the most poignant moments of the episode here.
I would say maybe the grandfatherly character is a trope of the snowman. What do you say? What do you say to that? Sit down, and I'll tell you a story, grandchildren.
Yeah, sure. I can buy that.
The grandfatherly snowman. All right.
Anyway, let's see. So, Snowman, basically, again, we have this really excellent story here, really kind of big emotional core here. And again, I know it sounds ridiculous, but
it's Sean Connery Snowman, but it's like emotional as all hell.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, it's such a poignant moment in the episode. It's like the North. Basically, we go into the story where the Snowman exposits you in this flashback here. It's a really effective flashback. The North Pole used to be this frozen paradise, and snow cones. We have this bit where they're all eating snow cones. It's adorable. Again, I don't know what it is.
I love snow cones.
I tell you, I don't know what it is. Just I love the idea of snowmen eating snow cones. I think that's hysterical. I really want that.
Back to our whole like mundanity thing, Dragon, like how we love mundanity in our cartoons and whatnot.
I so want that in Frozen too. I really do. I want them to. I want the snow. I want all the snow minis and then the Marshmallow and Olaf to eat snow cones on their off time. I really want that.
What if you mentioned Olaf running a bar? What if Olaf ran a snow cone bar?
That's what I'm saying, man. Give me
There we go. All right.
Anyway, so basically here's the tragedy, folks. Basically, we have kind of like a global warming kind of basically the rips in the ozone layer. This is the actual threat, folks. Let's not ignore it. But basically, ozone layer is kind of ripped open further. It's more literal in this case. Ozone is ripped open. So basically, you've got these big glaring holes in the North Pole. Basically, imagine the northern lights look more intense and scary, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
So the ozone layer is ripped through probably due to global warming, that sort of stuff like pollution. I won't get bored with all the details. Point is, basically, the ozone layer is ripped through the winter blanket, and it's basically it's we see it melt the North Pole, and we see the poor snowman here. He's watching helplessly. I watched helplessly as my friends melted away, and oh my
Yeah,
God,
how
so
sad
tragic.
is that, man? Seriously.
Yeah. And
Yeah. I was able to survive, but my friends weren't so lucky, and there was nothing I can do. And I didn't know whose fault it was. It was all the fault of man. Again, how Shakespearean is that line? That's what I'm saying, man. This is like one of the most Shakespearean courage villains we've ever had.
I would honestly think if we had to kind of make like top, I'd like kind of like a top 5 list of courage ones. I mean, we had Fred. It's Fred, right?
Yeah.
Fred. Snowman. We had Cats, because Cats is like kind of this kind of courage's arch enemy.
Yeah, for sure.
Probably kind of the original kind of space chicken, because those guys, And I can't quite think of who the other one, because there's such a plethora of villains to choose from. Basically, those 4 guys would definitely be on that list. I think Snowman would have to be on, just how much of a quality villain you have.
Okay.
Let's see. So, but yeah, with this thing you just said, Tig, is I love. There's that really great prolific shot. I mean, the way it's animated is just this fantastic shot of the snowman realizing he's the last of his own kind here, where it's basically, we see like kind of the snowman wiping the sweat with the tree branches from his, again, just this melted, it's...
You know what it reminds me of, Dragon? It actually kind of reminds me of the original Hans Christian Andersen, The Snowman. Have you ever looked into that?
A few, sparsely. Past Christmas in July. I think we've looked into it, or for some maybe seasonal shenanigans, we've looked into it. I think.
Well, I'm not even talking about the special. I'm talking about like the original book. Like the original book is really grim. The original book is basically kind of like this. It's the idea of like, well, shit. What will you do if you're the last snowman alive? Once all your other friends have melted. So I definitely think it's kind of a mix of Shakespeare and then Hans Christian Andersen here. And like I said, that's a heavy mix, man. Like they're drawn through some really heavy influences on this thing.
Yeah, but I tell you, there's just that image of that prolific image of like kind of the snowman kind of wiping the sweat away, then discovering his friends are gone. They've melted. I mean, that's just so tragic, It's like, oh god. Anyways, really, I could gush over that all day.
But stuff. Yeah.
But so again, it says, and it was all the fault of man. It was all the fault of man. And again, just the intensity, he blames man, because again, man kind of leaves the global warming and kind of the rips in the ozone layer because of man that's melted.
Sure.
So Courage gets an idea which melts him free, which I love that logic, that logical logic. Well, it's a light source. It plausibly could, in cartoon logic, it could melt him free.
This show does that a lot. It's just kind of like it uses the rules of the cartoon logic to its advantage, I think.
Yeah. So while the snowman's asleep, because again, after telling this kind of thing, you're right, he's kind of like a grandfather things, like kind of like Grandpa Lou. It's like he tells this awesome story that inspires, and
we had to walk 15 miles to the nearest igloo.
It's like he's got these adorable like little Z's on top. Oh, the snowman fell asleep. Look at him, all cute. So after that, Courage sneaks away. He's on a plane. We see kind of that random giraffe that's usually on the plane. Kind of a recycled character model who was kind of she was the goddess girl who had like the dog that was addicted to kind of the Indiana Jones style bone.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, Courage on point. He's on a plane. He's got like a little supply bag, and he sees. Basically, they're on a plane. There's a little Easter egg here, Tiki. It says Captain John Dilworth, and that's the show's.
Oh yeah, I definitely noticed that. Oh yeah.
It basically points out, and on your right, you'll see this giant hole in the ozone layer. And I love this. Again, it seems ridiculous. Basically, Courage opens the window to the plane so he can like basically kind of zoom out of there.
Courage is so delighted. He's like, "Oh, there is one. All right, let's do it." I love how gung ho Courage is to just dive right into this thing he's about to do.
Yeah, and again, I love that he's sewing. Again, it's the thing that was set up earlier. It's now paying off. That he's basically he's figuring on patching the blanket, essentially, because it's mentioned kind of in the story. It's kind of a winter blanket of the ozone layer. Sure. He's sewing it together. Again, it's a logical logic, but again, it works. It visually works so well in this surreal world we're living in. Here we sew the ozone. If only the problem were that simple.
Folks. I know, right? Come on now. Why can't we be more like cartoons?
Yeah, I mean, he sews it back together, hooray, and then he parachutes down using Eustace's repaired pants, and then
now that is what
basically
I call
kind of
payoff.
Yep, and very much, and the reason I'm not complaining about it is because it's kind of a la, again, inspired by Frosted the Snowman, where the snow friends magically return because they do the same kind of swirly effect where, okay, they're back, and it kind of, it's logic that we've seen before, but now kind of like, again, you want them to come back. You don't want them just to be, you want the snowman to have a happy ending. You do. So again,
absolutely.
Are brought back. Then meanwhile we have this hilarious joke where the snowman. Oh god, the snowman is arguing with Frozen, Eustace, and Muriel about being. No, I don't want to be the old maid. That not makes me the old maid, but the snowman just does not want to be the old maid in the game here because basically they're not playing their hands.
All around.
Yep, and I love this. The Courage brings a postcard from the North Pole to the snowman here. He says, my old snow friends," and basically then his old snow girlfriend, I believe girlfriend, Ivana.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Which definitely it has to be a Bond reference. Ivana, I want to do something. Basically, like it's missing the dirty part, but it's like Ivana. This or that.
Oh god!
So as his old snow girlfriend Ivana walks in, I love the design of Ivana. Like it's kind of like the old school, kind of 40s design on her. She's got like the boa around. It looks really nice. And again, I love this blue eyes.
1940s Christmas card in a way.
Yeah, and again, also this was kind of set up in the first appearance that he had a lot of reverence for Ivana, like the Ivana the Snow Woman. Again, the Snow Girl, Ivana the Snow Girl. Anyway, so. And this is a really sweet ending for the snowman here. Again, the girlfriend shows up, and he knows his friends are alive, and they're in the North Pole, and we can go home now. And basically says, let's go home. And he puts this image always sticks me. He puts the cold finger on his head like a hat.
Yes.
And basically, it's basically kind of like the Olaf solution from Frozen, where he has like kind of this instant kind of plume of snow to protect them as they go back to the North Pole for the journey home. And that's so nice. Then Courage, and this is really nice too. Again, we have kind of some nice romantic music playing too. It's like a happy ending for the snowman. Courage is waving goodbye. Again, it's like for a change, Courage is not like sweating like a sigh of relief. Oh, thank God we're not dead. It's like, oh, goodbye. The ice is melting because that's what happens. Eustace is questioning, "Where's my pants?" And then we have this really sweet ending where now this is Hohauser, the ton of Hohauser. Oh, that was a ton of snow. Hohauser and Jimbo the Snowman. Those two snow guys. They're also kind of the snow friends here. As the snow friends are living up in the North Pole, they're having like a little snow picnic. I'm sure they're having snow cones. Hohauser has a new hat, which is Eustace's pants wrapped around his head because he was kind of like the goofy kind of. I assume Jimbo and Hohauser are kind of like the Laurel and Hardy of the snowmen.
We're the trendy snowman. We get what the latest fashion.
And all is well. It's a happy ending. The snowman has kind of learned his lesson of. The point is, I don't know. It's like he doesn't exactly. But basically, he gets a happy ending, and he's changed his ways. We can assume.
That's what I'm saying. He starts off as the antagonist. He definitely starts out in the wrong, and by the end, he's changed his ways and gets a happy ending. I think he's the Scrooge. Anyways,
and
free snow cones for all. Yellow snow cones to be specific.
Lemon.
You have to pay for any snow cones that aren't yellow, but you get the yellow ones for free.
Oh God.
Okay. So, final thoughts on this? Final thoughts on the Snowman's Revenge?
It holds up really well, man. Again, I think it's one of my favorites. It really is. I have a lot of reverence for this episode, and boy, it's fun to reflect on.
Yeah, it's only 11 minutes long, but it really just hits you right in the sweet spot where, like, I definitely think there's enough Christmas in there to be considered a Christmas episode. And we'll get into that when we get into the tropes, but there's certainly enough there. And it is kind of Courage the Cowardly Dog, like doing it in its own unique way where we're not just going to do a Christmas episode of Courage. We're going to twist it. We're going to have like this really, really deep character, this really tragic character that's also kind of like an archetype of Christmas in itself, the snowman, and we're just gonna play with it, and we're just gonna have a lot of emotional pathos behind it. And I think those kind of episodes, Dragon, like you said, are what Courage does best. Oh, yeah. Okay. So tropes, friend, tropes.
Okay, well again, there's not a whole lot of tropes here, but of course we got our Scrooge, that's our snowman.
Oh yeah.
We have our
North Pole.
You have North Pole. We have should we chalk up kind of the threat of a melting North Pole? Have we ever had that before?
I think so. I want to say we've had that.
Yeah, let's put it down just to be safe. Okay, let's see what we got. We got kind of our grandfatherly story around the holidays.
Yes.
We
Kind
have
of like the tragic loss of loved ones around the holidays.
yes. We have the happy reconnecting with family around the holidays. So friends
Of
and
course.
family around the holidays.
Of course.
We have making the best out of a bad situation around the making the best out of a bad situation because he's kind of making these frozen people his new kind of family.
Snow cones.
Yep. Travel to basically spending I guess spending the holidays at a new location.
I guess so. Yeah.
It basically like screw Christmas here, let's go somewhere else for Christmas, and that basically be kind of a
Oh god.
literal Christmas in July. It's snowing in August.
Oh yeah, good one for sure. Like we said, folks, it's kind of limited because, first of all, it is only 11 minutes as opposed to 22, and also it's very unconventional. But any others, Dragon?
Well, thirdly, it's technically not a Christmas special, but again, it's a lot of stuff that fits our needs.
I mean, I think what we've listed off. There's a Scrooge, there's a North Pole, there's a Snowman, there's Christmas miracles. What do you think of Christmas miracles? How about that?
The fact that they come back magically, it's a miracle.
Christmas miracles.
And also, I think lastly, the most important again, it's kind of it's a twisted version of Frost's Snowman. So I mean, it's also kind of that.
Yes, absolutely.
I think above all else, that's the main reason we can count this as a Christmas special. Yeah, it's the Frost of the Snowman kind of story, but done in kind of with a twisted kind of Sean Connery way.
All right.
Well, folks, that's what we do here in Christmas in July. We like to drive down into the thick of the snow, past the white snow, down into the deep, dark, thick snow, and dig out tropes for you. Dig out Christmas tropes that we know you'll enjoy much better than my terrible Sean Connery impersonation.
Yes, but Tiki, I just have to wonder. Well, just if we only had a terminology, just not something as catchy as Snowmigos, but if we had something we could say that would just connect what we're doing in a scientific process, not something just as extracting the anti-melting gene like in the Snowman's first appearance. If we only had some scientific terminology for extracting the holiday analysis out of these themed episodes, what would we call it?
Well, much better Sean Connery impression. I believe the terminology you're looking for is putting the mistletoe underneath the microscope next time on Christmas in July.
La 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 la.
Stupid do-si-do!